All right, so day number 2 in Pacific Grove, California, and I'm gonna actually try to paint some cypress trees today. There's a raised bit of land here in the center of the parking lot. I'm gonna take a look up here and see what the view is like. Okay, so I'm set up here and you can see the trees off in the distance. They're kind of far away, but I think that's gonna allow me to see the silhouette clearer. Also, the elevated vantage point is gonna allow me to get more of the ocean into the picture. Today I'm going to be painting on a 16 by 20 inch panel, and I'm going to be using liquid as my medium as usual, and then odorless mineral spirits in a brush washer and the usual colors. I won't go through my colors, but I will say that you know, I did squeeze out quite a bit of paint. One of the most common questions I get is how can I prevent myself from getting muddy colors, or how do I lay thick paint on top of thin? And the key is to load your brush. A lot of people have barely any paint on their palette, and then when they go to paint over their scrub in, they've got barely any paint on the brush. So load the brush, go over that thin paint with thick paint. Okay, so there's the basic design. The tree trunks are actually too large, but I'm just sort of playing around with where I want to put them. So those will need to be thinner, because it makes the trees look actually short because the trunks are so thick. I'm opening up this area here so I can include some waves and possibly some rocks, although I'm not sure, and maybe some land out in the distance. But that's the basic idea right there. So now I'm going to block in the shadow. Oh, also too, I'm adding shadows from a tree. I'm using the shadows from this tree because back there they're not very visible, the shadows on the ground. So I'm kind of, as usual, I'm moving things around. Using my usual mixture of ultramarine and alizarin crimson. And I want to make this lean towards blue. And I'm going to add quite a bit of liquid to loosen it up, and also some mineral spirits. Using a number 8 in natural bristle. And part of the reason that I want to paint on a panel of this size is because I want to get all these little intricacies in the, you know, the shapes of the branches and foliage. When I scale it up like this, it's a lot easier to stay loose but still get some of these interesting shapes. All right, so when I paint cypress, I'm really focusing on an interesting silhouette, and it's important to remember how dark trees are against the sky. So I'm always going to be checking values, but also to, yeah, just looking for interesting sky holes so that the trees they don't seem too dense or pasted on. I really want to make sure that I get that, you know, maintain that dark value even when I add the brighter pops of green. All right, so I'm just going to experiment. I mixed up a little bit of green here using phthalo and cadmium yellow medium. The palette's like about a medium tone, so this green is a little darker than medium tone. And I'm just going to put some up here to see if actually I get enough of a pop. I might need to darken the dark area, but I don't want to overdo it. I want to maintain the transparency. Also, to the relationship between the blue and green, I might want to add more red into this dark area. My go-to red here is alizarin crimson, and I'm just going straight with this, and I'm gonna, you know, start darkening some of these areas up here with the alizarin. And let's see how that works with the green. I think I like that better because you got the complements. There'll still be some of this purple bluish left over, but I think I like that. I like having the red in there. These trunks still need to get thinned out a bit, but that's not a problem. I will use the negative space behind to kind of carve them out. But overall, I like the silhouette, and I think it's time to rough in the other colors. All right, so I'm mixing up some phthalo and white, adding liquid again, and I'm gonna thin this down. This will be my sky. Okay, so there's the rough in. Up top we had like, it's kind of more of a warmer blue, so I used the phthalo and white, and then down here I kind of started mixing some purple into it, and now I'm just gonna try to adjust things here, and you know, values and colors, and also make maybe some interesting wave patterns out here, but I don't want to break up this water shape too much, but I will look for interesting color shifts. All right, so I want to have some brighter greens in here, higher value, and I want to go over the thin paint that I laid on before. So as you can see, I'm using my number 8 natural bristle, and look at that. I mean, it's loaded with paint. Okay, and so if I go over my scrub in, I can quite easily lay that paint on without it picking up the colors from down below, and I'm loading it frequently. Okay, so I think I'm gonna leave it here, and I may do some touch-ups later, but I just don't want to overwork it. All right, so the theme of today is when you're painting thick over thin, make sure that your thick paint is actually thick. And I think this brush worked really well. It's a number 8 natural bristle brush, Utrecht 209. Held a lot of paint, kind of could use it like a mop in a way, and it's not too precise, so you don't get too fussy with details and stuff like that, So yeah, like I said, the scale of this, a number 8 for a 16 by 20 seemed perfect. Did I have to use another brush? I think I used a smaller flat, a number 4, just for a few of the branches, just to touch them up though, not a lot. So what else? I think that's it. So as usual, thanks for hanging out, guys. If you'd like to help support the channel, keep me making these videos, there's a Patreon link down below, and I've got additional videos on there and a materials list. So other than that, thanks for hanging out, guys. I'll see you in the next video.